Hey, welcome to MiWeek After the Show. We're talking actually about this the shooting in Tulsa by that reserve deputy sheriff, and it just came out today that a lot of his records were falsified with the deputies, that he didn't even have firearms training, and that he never had field training. They just kind of gave him credit for it. 73 years old, insurance executive. He donated cars and whatnot to the sheriff's department, and they let him be a reserve deputy and have a gun with no firearms training, which is staggering
incredible.
to me.
I mean, this isn't a game. This isn't some, okay, let's all go play cops today, and then we're going to go have some beer. I mean, it's not they're treating this in a lot of communities like it's some sort of beer softball league, for God's sakes.
What is the, I guess, why is that? What's the appeal? What is the appeal for a guy like this to be out on an arrest with a bunch of? They had enough. It wasn't like he was the only guy around, and it was a situation crime that just happened like that, and he stepped in.
This was a sting.
This was a sting.
Well, I mean, I think there are a lot of people who sort of thirst for that authority that police officers have. They wanna be part of that sort of group and that gang, quote unquote, and so there's an appeal to be able to do that, and you don't have to have the training. I mean, you don't have to put in the time that most police officers do to actually wear the badge and carry a gun. It is extremely dangerous, and this is an extreme example of it, but
it's always been like this in terms of it. I mean, it's always been sort of abused by in many communities. Wayne County Sheriff's Office used to pass out badges to their political donors and whatever. You had a bunch of yahoos walking around with badges that someone on the street wouldn't be able to distinguish from the real deal. We had a case when I was a young reporter. I did a story on a guy out in Van Buren Township who was a union official who was given this sort of honorary police chief's job, and he had a gun, and he was using his office to go pick up kids on the street and molest them, and it was just an awful situation, and it's just too loose.
Do you think coming out of this, and again, the Tulsa Sheriff's Department is disputing this report that this guy was not trained or that they falsified records, just saying, kind of rubber stamping him and passing him through. But do you think that this will change the way, other sheriff's departments, they say, you know what, we're going to end that program, or here's your honorary kind of badge, but you don't get the right to carry a gun?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that are going to change in policing behind all of these incidents where, and as I don't mean to minimize this incident, but this is not the main problem that we're having with the cops themselves, who seem also to not understand their role, to not understand things like restraint, to think that their job is to sort of compel submission out of people rather than to sort of police and keep order. All of this stuff goes to the kind of training they have in terms of what's your job and how are you supposed to treat the citizens that you're policing, even when they're suspected of a crime. There is a disproportionate response problem, I think, that we're having. That somebody gets pulled over for a bad taillight, and it escalates to the point where he's running away and you're shooting him in the back. I mean, that should never happen.
Well, I mean, whether things change or not, I'm not sure. We thought, everybody said, well, we'll put cameras and record everything, and then people will be mindful of what they do.
Sure,
and you got the guy in North Carolina, you got a video of him. All that's changed is it's on camera.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to know that camera.
Tulsa too.
Yeah, you had to know the camera was running. The guy, shot him and then went over and picked up evidence, and he had to know his car had a camera. And so I'm not sure what's actually going to change, other than we'll have a better view of things.
It's a training issue. It's what's the culture of the police department? What do the officers on patrol think their job is? What do they think their relationship is to the people that they're policing, that they're helping to protect? Those are the things that are broken in these communities where we're seeing these things happen.
And I think there should be good constitutional training for all police officers, a good course on civil rights, but also, what's the Constitution allow and what it doesn't allow? You still routinely get pulled over for a traffic stop, and they start asking you a whole lot of questions. Where you been? Where you going? What's none of your darn business?
Not your business.
What were you doing? You know, the issue is, was I speeding? Did I miss a turn? You know, did I knock down some old lady in the road? Where I was going, where I'm headed to, is nobody's business, and yet you still get this interrogation at a routine traffic stop.
But again, that's that attitude. It's this authority that they believe that they have, and the ability to compel your submission. That if I ask you a question, you have to answer it.
And
if
most
you
people
don't,
feel
now
you
I'm
do,
gonna chase
because
you.
you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, maybe I won't get a ticket, maybe we'll get a ticket. But it's absolutely none of your business where I was going or
That's
where I was
right.
headed to.
When are the body cameras coming to Detroit? Because they're doing a pilot program.
I don't know what the timeline is on that. Everyone, you know, every big city right now says we're going to have a pilot program in place, and usually they say by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, the argument now is also over how much of that will be public record. So
It's gonna be a mess.
If the police come into your house and have to, you know, execute a search warrant, everything in your house is now on film. That's not
I did
public.
see-
Legislation coming to deal with that.
to try to
but-
deal with it.
I did
but-
see a piece
you
in
don't
Seattle. The
want-
cops are doing it out there, and the police department's putting some of that video up online. They're blurring out the faces of the people, but they're saying, look, if you
your
want to take a
home
look
is-
at
yeah,
what's
no.
going
I
on,
gotta
this is
tell
what.
you, there's
do that.
privacy issues there. There's, you know, not everybody who has an interaction with police is a criminal.
Right.
And
right.
you know, it's just
Yeah.
how much, and plus, who's going to decide what's shielded and what's not? I think there's privacy concerns here. There's access to information, public information concerns here. These things aren't a panacea.
All right. That's going to do it. My Week After the Show. Thanks for joining us. MiWeek.org. We'll see you later.